We're back with breaking inputs coming in. President Donald Trump has accused Iran of bombing an Iranian girls' school, while several media outlets reported that the explosions were likely caused by U.S. airstrikes. So the clash of narratives, the war of narratives also heating up and intensifying. As far as that attack on the school is concerned that killed 165 plus students, Trump has pinned the blame on Iran. Says Iran misfired munitions. US had nothing to do with it. Iran did it. That's the assertion coming in from Donald Trump, who goes on to say inaccurate Iranian munitions. POTUS offers no evidence for claim. Questions swirl over strike again. Meanwhile, we have some more breaking inputs coming in. So listen in to what Donald Trump said.
In my opinion, and based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Nixon? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Still investigating.
But the only side that targets civilians is Iran.
We think it was done by Iran. Because they're very inaccurate, as you know, with their munitions. They have no accuracy whatsoever. It was done by Iran.
So, Captain Saxena, the war of narratives also intensifying. US President very conveniently putting the blame on Iran, saying they misfired the munition.
Yeah, and we have seen President Trump in terms of making many statements without any proof, right? So many times we have seen it in the past also. So I'm sure US want to ensure that they do not seen on the wrong side, right? So they don't want to hit the civilian population. They do, because many times their agenda is, this particular regime is, working against the normal population. They are working against the human rights, and also they don't want to be seen on the wrong side. And most likely this is caused by the air strikes, right? We are seeing the airstrike all across. So it is very likely that, one of the airstrike is not very precise. So the damage could be done. But obviously it's a war of narrative, as I talked about in the last episode. Both the country want to stay on the right side, and US definitely want to say that this is done by the Iran. They want to put the blame back on Iran, so that the population is also against coming with the current regime, and there are some protest or some rebel coming out of it. But definitely Iran also want to ensure that their population is strongly united behind the nation or the current regime, and they want to show it as an act of US which can go up to any extent. So this war of narrative will continue in the next few days till that time we see both the teams coming onto the negotiating table.
So nobody wants the blood of civilians on their hands. America saying Iran did it. Iran also realizes the importance of catering to the citizens, isn't it, Mr. Arde? That's what we saw in that statement also earlier, when Mr. Arakchi addressing the American people says you will have to bear the brunt of all of this, the cost of the war and the loss of young lives as well. So both sides playing that narrative. Mr. Arde.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I mean, it's pretty interesting. Absolutely, it's a narrative war and games. Trump says we never kill civilians. Okay, pardon me. By the way, the Gaza war, Israel and America together virtually. Okay, same. How many civilians have been killed in Gaza? About, I think the number is running around 80,000 people killed. Okay, out of those, assume maybe 30,000 were weapon-carrying Hamas, but a good number of civilians have been killed. So leaders will make the narrative to suit their own, to suit their own agenda, to convince themselves of their moral, morality and the rightness or the righteousness of their actions. So that's what we are exactly seeing here. But by the way, yes, what seems to be happening and what is happening in this war is that, one, okay, there are targeted attacks going, sure, okay, some of the missiles are falling, some may be inaccurate also, yes, that could happen also. But then a bunch of things are happening wherein the missiles are being intercepted, or drones, right, up in the sky, and then the debris is falling, right? And very often those are the debris which are falling in civilian areas, right? But in the case of this women's or the girls' college, I think it was a direct hit because 160 kids were killed. So that was, yes, a missile landing there. Who sent that missile or whatever the projectile was, we don't know, or I don't know at least. But in many of the other instances that we are seeing, including especially also in the Gulf or even in Israel, right, when these projectiles are being intercepted up in the air. The debris are falling in some residential areas. Essentially that. Projectile may be heading towards a destination, let's say to an air base in Tel Aviv, but intercepted somewhere high above, and then it falls into a residential
as far
area.
as the point of misfiring munitions is concerned, Captain Saxena, Iran has attacked or targeted wherever it wanted to hit with an intent. There has been no misfiring of munitions yet.
Yes, so that's what I say. I see very less likelihood of that, because obviously these are the first pictures, so we do not know what exactly happened. But the chances of misfiring munition from the Iran side seems to be much lesser, because you know that from wherever they are firing, it will not be very close to the school, and even if their missiles are being intercepted, they will be somewhere between Israel or between these Gulf countries and others. So the chances of that debris falling, Iran's missile debris falling onto the girls' school is very low. I see it more likely a US airstrike where it was intercepted and some part of it fell onto the ground. So that seems to be more likely. But I think we'll have to wait a little bit more to find out, once we get the evidence from the side.
Right, but looks like Donald Trump isn't waiting for any evidence. He's already given his verdict. He says Iran did it, misfired a munition. Gentlemen.
He's the judge, jury and executioner.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on the broadcast with your expert opinion. Quick break, lot more lined up on the other side.